What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with a vehicle-themed horror film. This is something I picked up from Hamilton Books. I forget the price, but it was relatively inexpensive. And, I enjoyed it. I'm covering up the bottom. Well, I just showed a little bit of it. And I talked a little bit about this when I did a live stream with Nye, where we just chit-chatted about some of the movies I've picked up and watched recently. I feel that the bottom picture gives away a little bit too much as far as the end of the movie. Not like the climax per se, but like where the movie is heading. Plot-wise, not direction-wise, as in, that this is like a vehicle-themed horror movie. Yes, this is called Shuttle, even though the caption there says A Bus Ride to Hell. Let me tell you what the back says. From Twitch.com, Shuttle packs in more reversals and twists than you can shake a handful of severed fingers at. Yeah, I would agree with that. There's some twists and turns, and I didn't see all of them coming, and I welcomed some of them. Overall, this is a pretty good film. I do recommend this. It perhaps did not offer that much that was new, but it did combine some things we've seen in some other movies, and as far as where the movie ends up at the end, you kind of, when you get to 3/4 of the way through, you start to kind of piece that together. But the very end, the last few minutes, is no less impactful, because you've kind of figured out what the motive of the antagonists are. It's just wow, and it's connected to real life events, so it makes it especially jarring and disturbing. So this is not a supernatural film. Okay, this is about real life terror. And basically you have two young ladies coming back from a vacation. It's been a couple weeks, to be honest. I forget where. But they're in an airport, and there's a couple guys there, and the one guy is kind of the jokester, he's encouraging his buddy to go talk to those girls, and he tries to hit on them a few times, and his buddy's a little more taciturn, kind of a quiet. Well, the four of them just happen to be like sort of out looking for a shuttle, back to the hotel or wherever, I don't know. And there's a couple choices, and there's one guy, one of the drivers, he's played by Tony Curran, and I know him from a lot of action movies, but Blade 2, the 13th Warrior, but he's actually been in a lot of credits. You'll recognize him. He's the driver, and he basically undercuts the other guy. So they get into this shuttle, and there's already a passenger on there, like an older, somewhat older guy, meek-looking gentleman. And they start to take like a detour through the city, and instead of around it. And they have an incident with a creepy car that they have to swerve and avoid, and then they have to change a flat tire. And then that's when we know that this is not going to be a very fun night for the passengers. There's a mishap when they're doing that, and, well, I just read you the one blurb there, so you can kind of figure out what happens. But when there's a horrible, disfiguring accident, the shuttle driver just has a look on his face like, oh, well. And that's when you know, like, okay, this is probably going to be a bad dude here. And eventually he basically makes it known, because as time goes on, they're trying to supposedly find a hospital now that they've got a very wounded person. It becomes apparent that this guy's not going to a hospital, that he's going to his destination, his own destination, which is not anywhere that they want to go, in a rundown part of the city. So they begin to question it, and eventually they are sort of taken hostage. And there's like lots of twists and turns. There are times when, yes, they are actually tied up and bound. There are other times when they're not, because they're just like, without going into detail, they're just extorted or intimidated into, cooperating. So you have more than a few scenes where, oh, there's a wrench on the ground, or there's something on the ground, and I'm gonna slowly use my foot to see if I can, pull it over to me and use it. You get a lot of that, maybe even a little bit too much. Does go on a little while. Eventually, they do stop at a store, and the one girl is told, this is what you have to do. You have to go in there, okay, and get some supplies. And so that's a tense scene because the clerk is looking at her like there's something wrong here. Perhaps a little bit unbelievable that in this neighborhood there would be a convenience store open. I don't know. But at any rate, so anyway, the night goes on. There are some escape attempts. And then at the end, you kind of realize they arrive at a location and horrible things happen. And you kind of realize what this is all about. What is the purpose of this sort of kidnapping? And I won't really go into detail. But it is it's a well-made film, a well-acted film, and I do recommend it. Thanks.